I'll share my screen. So we don't have a lot of update for today's demo, and the main reason for that at the end of previous week we merged most of the functionality in our main line, and the last big pull request was devoted for the source deduction mechanism and shipment creation. And at the beginning of this week we run the regression. And in the scope of this regression, we created some issues. All those issues are marked with the regression phase 1 label. We already started to examine all this issue on yesterday's grooming. Some of that issue will go to milestone 2. Some of them are critical for first release and would be fixed right after the regression finished. So we can say that today regression finished, and we already have this result, and we'll start to proceed fixing the bugs. So this is good news for community, because we have quite a lot of pretty independent features. So we have quite a lot of guys from community like bug hunters who have quite a limited time, and they can participate in the bug fixing for after our regression phase 1. So those of you who listen in the demo or watching or will watch it later, you can just make a filter by regression phase 1 and assign ticket to yourself and proceed with ticket execution. So tomorrow it's gonna be another contribution day, and I know that it's gonna be MSI track there. So this is kind of looks like a good track for contribution day. This is probably all regarding the regression. But along with regression, we also started implementation of 2 new stories, and these stories are not finished yet, but we will demonstrate you the current update regarding this story. So I'm stop sharing my screen, and Nikolai will make a presentation of his part.
Yeah, hi guys. As Igor said, today we have started our work on separation of business logic from presentation layer in MSI. Yeah, unfortunately, there is nothing to show you from the user perspective, as there is no changes, at least yet, and everything worked the same way as it did, and we already showed all UI features on previous demos. Yeah, but from the code perspective, there will be a lot of changes, and we already made some tangible progress and more to come. So yeah, why are we doing this separation of code? Well, first of all, we want to make MSI more flexible from perspective of development, add ability to run Magento with MSI in headless way, make MSI modules as much independent as possible, and also like more specific, that every module does only its specific job. We delegate to it. So yeah, at this moment we have 2 pull requests created, which separate logic for inventory catalog and configurable product. And yeah, as I've said, there are more to come for the rest of the modules. Next will be, I believe, inventory, low stock, and sales. Yeah, simultaneously we are testing all your features we introduced in MSI on new rearrange code to make sure that everything continue to work as expected. And then we planning to write web API functional tests, which will be able to buy different types of products, create and processing orders and invoices, Also, they should be able to use our source selection algorithm, create shipment for a specific warehouse. And that will prove that we can use all MSI features without using UI. And yeah, after this will be done, we'll be able to confidently say that MSI can work in headless way with custom UI or without UI at all. So yeah, there is plenty of work to be done. I believe that's all.
Thank you, Nikolai. Just to repeat for Anton Krill, who joined a little bit later, we already prepared the segregation, and we have pull requests for segregation of UI, admin UI out of business logic for 3 of MSI modules, and we have 3 more modules for this segregation.
Great.
Okay, so the next one gonna be Alessandro, who will show how we what the refactoring we made for the reservation and how we added the business event into the reservation metadata.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to make a live demo to convey the idea that we are implementing right now. We are trying to exploit the metadata that we have on reservation entities. So now I show you how this is used while placing some orders. So let me try to do a demo here. Let me add some products to the back, provided it works. Otherwise, I have plan B. I recorded something before. Let me check if I don't have the debugger running. Okay. So okay, now it works. I'm adding some products to the cart. Let me update some quantities here and proceed to checkout. I show you that my reservation table here on the right is empty, actually. I log in to make things faster. Okay, let me place this order with 2 bags. Okay, what happens now? As you already know, every order places some reservations. What you have here as a new thing is the metadata column, which is populated with some information about the event that we call the sales event that caused the reservation to be placed. So in particular, we have order placed event, and we also want to track the object and the ID of the object, which can be useful in this particular event. At the moment, we are storing the quote and its quote ID. I can show you here that if I let me move the order. Okay, this is the quote we are speaking about, 18, number 18, and this is the reference here. At the moment, we stored the quote, but we are thinking about changing this behavior and tracking the order. We have to do some refactoring to change a bit of things to do this. But actually it seems us to be a better design to keep the data about the order that caused the reservation to be placed, because we also will have to keep track of the deduction, the reservation about deduction at order processing. So at that moment, we will have the ability to understand that the same order, what are the reservations that are bound to the same order. From front-end point of view, that's all. As usual, this changes is spanning through different weeks because it requires a lot of changes from the code point of view. I think that's more or less all. If you have any question, any doubt, feel free to ask.
Is the metadata stored, I guess, just for reference purposes, or if we view the table to get some additional information, or is the metadata ever used in any code later on?
I still don't know, to be honest. I mean, this data is stored because we realized that in some circumstances it was very difficult also for developers to realize what was going on with the data that is stored. I'm not sure, but probably this data will be used in some way at a certain point.
Okay, right, because even our periodic cleaning of this table doesn't rely on that metadata as it stands now.
Yeah, so you're correct, Mark. So we probably can make maybe in future our cleaning mechanism, which currently clean the reservation, little bit more smarter, and it can, because currently what it does is just make an aggregation by stock ID and SQ. And if the total quantity is 0, just remove all the reservation found. But actually, this means that, for example, if there is a merchant with a really big amount of order which are beyond placed, this situation can never become, because we will always have some not closed reservation, and that will mean that the reservation table will always grow. Another case which can happen, that actually we even stuck that on some demos ago, when there was a bug when we have a reservation created, and but the compensational reservation was not created at the shipment time, and actually this means that merchant end up with a wrong total quantity, and moreover, he can't even make reindexation to fix this, because the reindexation, at the time of reindexation, we don't clean up the reservation. And that introduced kind of manual work for him to find the problem, and taking into account that it could be a lot of reservation, and the reservation before this did not have any reference to the business process which leads to this reservation appear. So it would not even possible to find the reason why the quantity is wrong. So now having the, for example, now we, at the time of the reservation placement, at the time of the product is sold, we place the reservation with a reference to the order, and when the product is shipped, we have a reservation with a reference to the same order. So now we can make we can upgrade our cleaning mechanism to clean reservation, just to find this reservation which match each other based on the same order ID, and make this kind of cleaning. And also that would be kind of developer API. So if something went wrong and the quantity would be wrong, the developers can always make a check based on this reservation, because now it contains the reference to particular business process which created this reservation.
Yeah, for sure. It's more a developer side implementation, but actually we don't clear reservation that don't match quantities. So if something goes wrong, we don't clear a reservation, and in the reservation we have at least something in the metadata that explains what originates from what originates that reservation, because it can become very difficult to understand once we have a lot of them, to understand what originated those reservations.
Is there any other questions? Looks like no. So probably that's all regarding the demonstration. I believe the demonstration next week would be more like it will be more stories to show, because we will start fixing all the bugs and we will continue working on a source deduction, virtual product finalization, and returns. But now that's because the main destiny of current week was to make a regression. We don't have a lot of functionality to show. And most of the functionality was presented was oriented for developers and the architecture. So this is current update for this week. If there are no any other questions, thank you for participation, and see you next week, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.